Why do INFJs and ENFPs connect so well? What makes an INFJ and an ENFP such a good pair? What are some of the challenges of being in this type of relationship? Stick around for today's show because we're going to answer all three of those questions. The first thing that may attract an INFJ and an ENFP is the fact that they have similar worldviews. If you look at their personality preferences, in the center of both you'll find the letters NF. The N stands for intuitive and the F stands for feeler. This means that both INFJs and ENFPs are idealists. And when you're talking about compatibility between personality types, the core letters, the center two, are the most important because those are the functions. And what that means is the first letter, in the case of the INFJ and ENFP, the N is the way the type takes in information. And the second one, again, the F for the INFJ and ENFP, is the way that the type makes decisions. And these are the areas where most personality types experience conflict. So INFJs and ENFPs have this down pat. And NF types, along with being idealists, are known for seeing possibilities for people. They love to help people and they love to help others grow. So they're naturally going to share the same values and the same motivations. They love to understand others and they love to help them take strides and to improve. Along with sharing the same worldview, INFJs and ENFPs have complementary preferences. Now, this might be obvious, but I feel like it needs to be said. So the INFJ is an introvert and the ENFP is an extrovert. And this can be a good thing in a lot of ways because when the INFJ is tempted to stay in the house too much and really should be getting out and connecting with people and just exploring new things, the ENFP is going to challenge the INFJ to do just that. And vice versa. When the ENFP is stretched too thin or maybe is spending too much time exploring, the INFJ will help pull that person back and calm them down, to get them to reflect a little bit, get them to spend a little more alone time. This balance is a good thing, although it will also create tension at times. On the opposite end of the preferences, the INFJ is a judger, at least preference-wise, whereas the ENFP is a perceiver. This is also a great balance because the INFJ is going to be really good at getting things done and is going to encourage the ENFP to finish. And the ENFP is going to encourage the INFJ to step outside the routine and to explore new things. This is a wonderful thing for both types, but it can also create some friction from time to time. Now that we've discussed the personality preferences, let's go a bit deeper and explore the cognitive functions of each personality type, or what I like to call the driving mindsets. And in particular, let's talk about the number one, the dominant function, the one that's most important for each type, because this is where types often have the most potential to connect or to butt heads. In the case of the INFJ and the ENFP, they have a lot in common because both types are dominant intuitives. So if you look at the INFJ, you'll see that I placed the letters NI beside that personality type. And the NI represents the cognitive function introverted intuition because that's the driving mindset for this type. And for the ENFP, you'll notice that I put the letters NE beside the ENFP because extroverted intuition is the dominant function or driving mindset for this type. So what does that mean? Well, a couple things. Number one, it means that both types are going to enjoy discussing ideas, theories, and possible futures. Both will be more reflective and bent on information gathering. In other words, they won't be hasty to rush to a judgment, at least not as much as dominant judgers may be. If you take a look at the chart on the screen right now, you'll see that it's laid out based on extroversion, introversion, judging, and perceiving. And this is how the 8 mindsets or functions of Myers-Briggs personality theory are broken down. And in particular, you'll see that there are 4 possible perceiving types. There's extroverted intuition, extroverted sensing, the 2 extroverted perceiving types. And then there's introverted intuition and introverted sensing, which are the 2 introverted perceiving types. So what's tricky about this is that A lot of people see the letters INFJ and they immediately assume that the INFJ is a judging type. And when it comes to preferences, this is true. But really, INFJs are some of the more open-minded people because they're primarily information gatherers. It's just that what other people see and learn about them first is that they are judgers because they extrovert feeling. So if all this is not making sense, don't worry about that. The main point is that both ENFPs and INFJs both tend to be open-minded, great listeners, and they like ideas and taking in information. They're not quick to judge others. Now, this doesn't mean that they don't have values and high ideals and things that are really important to them, because they do, and that's a hallmark of both personalities. But both are perceivers, and specifically, they're dominant intuitive perceivers, so they see the world very similarly. Now, one more note. Extroverted intuition tends to multiply ideas. So I've heard it explained or compared to a popcorn machine. Extroverted intuition tends to multiply ideas. So ENFPs get excited about ideas, and when they get in the zone, they can come up with a whole lot of really creative ones. Whereas introverted intuition that INFJs use tends to focus on a few core interests and go deep, really deep. So they kind of plumb the depths of their interests and know a lot about it. Finally, to wrap up, I'd like to leave you with a brief glimpse of each personality's functional stack. And I think this is so interesting because when you look at the INFJ and you look at the ENFP, they're almost exactly alike, except for the letters beside their preferences. So to quickly run through them for the INFJ, you've got introverted intuition, extroverted feeling, introverted thinking, and extroverted sensing. And then for the ENFP, we've got extroverted intuition, introverted feeling, extroverted thinking, and introverted sensing. So you'll see that the only thing is different is the mood in which it's used, meaning the INFJ, when it's using introverted intuition, the ENFP is using extroverted intuition, and so on and so forth for the rest of the functions. So this makes a really great complementary relationship where each type sees things similarly, but they have a different flavor of it, and they kind of balance each other out. So we talked about intuition. Let's quickly delve into feeling. Both types are going to be, again, people-centric. They enjoy helping people. The INFJ is going to be concerned about other people and making them happy most of the time, and is going to be really tuned into others' feelings. Now, the ENFP is going to be good at this as well, but is going to be first and foremost concerned about honoring his or her own personal values, but is going to want harmony as well. And I could say the same about the INFJ. They want to be authentic and true to themselves, but again, they put others' feelings first, whereas ENFPs make sure they've got their own core values going first. But again, there's some overlap for both types. Now, if we go all the way to the bottom of the functional stack, you'll see that both types have sensing at the bottom. And this is interesting too, because when you look at the fourth function, that's the weakest for each of the types and often brings up the most challenges. And this means that both types, to some extent or another, tend to live in their heads. They're great with ideas, they're great with theories, they're great with future possibilities, but when it comes to existing in the physical world, taking care of chores, taking care of laundry, taking care of groceries, this stuff is like the opposite of exciting to both types. So this can create some tension. Either both types are going to come up with some creative ways to work around it, or they're going to experience some conflict in who's going to do what, and maybe even getting this stuff done. So I think this is one of the biggest challenges of these two being together, because they're really going to enjoy each other's company and share the same values and enjoy deep discussions. But when it comes to getting the day in, day out sort of grind work done, that's going to be a point of contention and just something that neither of them enjoy. So they might have trouble getting it done. Briefly, another aspect of this might be making money, because both types are so concerned with helping people and honoring their ideals. When it comes down to the practical part of making a living and paying the bills, that can also create some conflict. So finances can be a challenge from time to time. And that's something that you should keep in mind if you're thinking about an INFJ, ENFP romantic relationship, or, even if you're in a friendship with someone else and they're influencing you. If you're an INFJ who wants to understand your personality on a deeper level, and you want to reach your potential, live a life of purpose, and just realize that you're not messed up or broken, but just different? Well, I'd love to give you a copy of my ebook, The INFJ Personality Guide, completely free. You can grab a copy today by texting the letters INFJ to the number 444999. Or you can visit the link ispeakpeople.com/INFJ-personality-guide to download your copy right now. And I'll place a link to that page in the description below. Thanks so much for watching this video. I hope that you found it helpful. If you haven't yet subscribed to the channel, make sure to do that. I'm putting out new content every week for INFJs just like you. Thanks again for joining me. I look forward to seeing you next time.